What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Tasty Tuesday on Tasty Loot Gaming, the show where we talk about gaming news. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
And before we get into quick reminders, I want to give you another quick reminder real fast that we are doing our month of you guys voting for our game of the month in December. The way that works real quick is you guys in every single episode of this month type in GOTM, game of the month, and then type in a name of a game. Can be a game that you've been posting on every video, or you want to throw a couple different ideas out there. Every time that name comes up, I'm going to put it on a list. Every time that name comes up again, I'm going to put a check mark next to it. Whichever ones get the most check marks will be in a polling next month, and we will determine what you guys picked for us to play in December for game of the month. But the only way that we can know what you guys want us to play is if you comment those games down below. So you can either do that independently or individually, or you can comment like you normally do on the videos, and then just at the bottom put GOTM game, blah, blah, blah. And a couple of you are playing a little more aggressive than other people. So so far we have some games that are looking pretty voted for. Some people are staying pretty dedicated to every episode, saying the same thing. And that's the way the game's played. So if you guys want to have a voice on that, make sure to comment down below on any episode in October. You can even go back to the episodes that start in October and go through every single one if you want to, and I will get those on my list, and hopefully Chevy can also help me in finding the ones that I have not liked and told you that I have noted that in my list. If I have not said that, somebody let me know so I can get that all set up. That aside, that should be fun. I can't wait to see what we play in December, and I can't wait to see what you guys say we should play. There's already some pretty interesting ones. There's one on there that I've never even heard of. It was like a DS game, and it's on Steam, so that's a really interesting one to see. Then obviously we got like Overwatch, Jurassic World Evolution, a couple other games that I'm not playing or games I've never played. So it'll be really cool to see what happens.
For sure.
So that's just a quick reminder, and I'm going to be making a video to explain this a lot shorter and putting it on the video so you guys don't have to hear my different ways of explaining this every single fucking time. So quick reminders to play The Last of Us Remastered and MLB The Show 19, both offer for free on PlayStation Plus. Make sure to download those, play those. Come back at the end of the month for Plus Club. Let us know what you thought of those games. We'll let you know what we thought of them. And our game randomly picked this month is Dauntless. It is a free-to-play Monster Hunter style game. You can download that on Xbox, PS4, PC, and you can play it across with everybody. So it doesn't matter what you're playing on. It's free to play. I've already sank a lot of hours into it. I haven't really spent money on it, so got nothing to lose. Check it out. We'll be talking about that on Game of the Month. We also have Discord linked down below. You can talk to us anytime, all the time. And we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. And I want to thank everybody who sat through the long-ass slog that was Man of Medan. I did a stream of that, full playthrough. It apparently is a 5 to 6 hour game. I beat it in less than 4, and I was very angry. So if you'd like to see me bitch about a game for a while, check out that stream I did recently. And that video also counts as a video you can vote on. So make sure to go comment on that. Tasty Tuesday, we got two bits of news to talk about that are both kind of interesting. But before that, I touched on this a little bit already. I want to give you an opportunity to give your opinion because obviously Tasty Loot Gaming is my channel. I own it. What I say goes with it, but I don't speak for everyone on the channel. You have your own voice, and I wanted to talk a little bit about what you think about the Blizzard Hong Kong situation. We don't have to go into full details on it. Everybody probably knows quite a bit about it.
Yeah.
But essentially, China, in my opinion, is doing some very horrific things to people in Hong Kong. It's political stuff. I really like to stay away from that on this channel, but it's just a fact. And, with recent events, with the guy who was playing Hearthstone, said some pro Hong Kong stuff. Blizzard essentially took his title away, took his money away. I believe they're giving it back now. They gave a half-assed statement about it. The statements are different in China than they are here, and it's a big mess. There's protests planned for BlizzCon. BlizzCon's gonna be a fucking shit show. Blizzard has been pretty tight-lipped about a lot of this because they're probably in panic mode, and it's pretty crazy because regardless of where you stand politically, and this has been refreshing for me, as someone who follows politics, it seems like no matter where you stand, most people are on board with the idea that human rights should be protected. People have a right to live hopefully free, and people who impose on that should not be doing that. And companies who silence people talking about that in certain degrees and censoring them, to make sure that they're keeping that cash flow coming in my opinion, are kind of shitty. So is there anything you kind of want to like throw out there? What's your thoughts on that? Because some people might not know fully what's going on. They're just like, oh, I like WoW. Why is everybody upset?
Yeah, well, I mean, and you kind of said it the whole thing's been kind of crazy to watch anyways, because it seems no matter what
It's a big deal. I mean, it's bigger
spectrum
than
you're
games.
on, it seems like most people are kind of on the same page, except for either those who are ignorant of the situation or people who are. I gotta be careful here.
Yeah.
Really far in a direction where they actually do agree with what's going on over there. And
There are some people.
yeah, and I actually saw one on Twitter today that blew my mind. That being
I
said,
know we talked about prior, and I was talking about people who are pro China in that situation, and you're like, "Oh, I haven't really ran into that." I'm like, "No, they exist."
yeah,
So it's
I ran
interesting that
into
you
one.
ran into,
Yeah, and it was mind blowing.
yeah,
I don't agree, obviously, with anything that's going on in that whole situation, but to keep it to the Blizzard situation, to keep it to a gaming thing, I think the approach they took with a person expressing, what I view as their freedom of speech, was really poorly handled. Because I can understand to an extent if you have a company policy that says if you are official representative of the company, you have to do blah blah, do a certain way, right?
sure,
That being said, they didn't like just go through and give him a slap on the wrist. They pretty much were just like, nope, you're done. And that was very extreme. And then they were very unapologetic about it, to the point where like even the newscasters or the live casters or whoever were part of it, they didn't even say anything. They were disassociated from Blizzard at that point.
yeah. One of the
So,
announcer guys that's supposed to be at BlizzCon, he dropped out in protest for this.
I mean, it's
And one thing that's really interesting about this, well, and I was listening to oh man, what's his name? Mark Kern, wherever he used to work for.
he's the one I found that person commenting on. So
Yeah. He well, he's kind of polarizing anyway because weird shit. I don't get it. But he worked on Vanilla, WoW, the original, and so I mean he has insight or whatever, and he's just disappointed to see Blizzard, who used to be, who would never do this.
they were a consumer friendly company for a long time.
Yeah, he was essentially saying that one of two things happened with this. Either like someone high up got a phone call like 2 a.m. that's like, you need to fucking take care of this like right now, like money wise. And so they made a really like crazy decision out of like, they're like, I got to take care of this. And now they're like backtracking off it kind of, or backpedaling, or someone in the middle who is not as involved just enforce something, and someone on this side of those deals between China and Blizzard went, oh fuck, like we shouldn't have done that, and now they're in panic mode, like trying, how do we fix this? Because they're not going to backpedal from China. There's too much money to be made there.
Yeah.
But they also they have an image here, and people have celebrated that image. Not to get too deep into it, but like companies don't really care about people a whole lot, especially the bigger they are. And
Most don't.
And one thing that's been illuminating, a lot of people are talking about this now, finally, is, for instance, like characters in Overwatch. There's obviously LGBT or BT characters that are in Overwatch here in the West, but in China they're not. They're not,
Yeah.
part of that community, and so that just shows really that Blizzard's pandering to the countries that they're in.
Right.
And so a company that's capable of doing that, and then also like making a decision like this out of the fucking blue real quick, it really shows how much they care about the money and not the community, which really sucks to say, because I know there's some diehard Blizzard fans still. It's just getting really hard to watch with the very real scary shit that's going on over there, and people having an issue with it, and Blizzard going like, you can't say that. Now, kind of like what you were saying earlier, if they had a rule ahead of the time already that was like, in these events, no politics talk, no talking about
I
politics.
think there is technically a rule, because I think it was brought up when they originally were justifying their decision. But at the end of the day, even just like, and outside of just the humanity aspect of it, just from a PR perspective, it was just such an extreme and bad decision to make. So I just,
and it's the wrong side to be on,
yeah, for sure.
in my opinion. But I mean, like, if you know what's going on over there, it's really fucking weird to be siding where the money's at, when the atrocities that are happening, where that money's coming from, are coming from there. So it just doesn't look good, especially when you're a company that's built your image off of community and pretending to care about certain communities and
This isn't
stuff
the
like
only
that.
only company
It's
either.
not.
This
It's
is a
not.
gaming
There's
channel,
there's
obviously.
actually there's a whole list now. There's a website that has all these lists of companies that are associated with Chinese companies. That this is probably a really important topic for people. Which companies are in the interest of essentially other countries,
Yeah,
and how much do they actually care about the consumers here, but also the communities here.
for sure.
Tim Sweeney came out from Epic Games and said that 40% of the company is owned by a Chinese company. And that's a huge chunk. But he said he is the active shareholder of his company. And while he is that, he'll allow people to say and discuss whatever they want to when it comes to that stuff. And they won't punish people. That's a PR move for sure. And if he backs that, very good on him. I
sure.
like to hear that. It's ballsy as fuck. We don't know if it's true, though, because we haven't seen it done. I feel like we're going to be seeing someone test that soon. There's a lot of people calling for people to do it, just say something. We're also seeing like Mei, Overwatch character, obviously, being used as a symbol of freedom in Hong Kong right now. That happened overnight. They made a
yeah.
joke about it and already was over there. So, and apparently Blizzard has taken down, or somebody has taken down a statue of Mei somewhere. I forget where the fuck it was. Like overnight, it's gone. So they're in crisis mode right now, like crisis control. It's really fucking crazy to watch, and this is beyond just video games. But this is a gaming channel, so it's kind of important to talk about because we've been talking about Blizzard for a long time. We got love for old franchises, obviously. Some of the new direction they've taken has been questionable, but this is like a really big deal. I mean, I can't really think of another company that's
I can't think of
brought up these thoughts in my head when it comes to what's right or wrong.
I can't think of such a backlash that like people aren't only just like uninstalling, Battle.net and all their Blizzard games, but they're also like canceling their WoW subscriptions. And then even on top of that, you get people emailing Blizzard to delete their accounts.
Yeah.
That's for some people years of progress. They're just saying, get rid of it. I don't want it.
Yeah, I mean, this is from like both sides of the political spectrum as well, which is really interesting. So, I mean, like it's kind of across the board. It's really kind of amazing to watch. I hate to see it happen because I don't want any company making these decisions and alienating people and defending essentially through, kind of side routes, horrible things. But just to see how passionate people are about like, no, this isn't right, is crazy. I mean, there's people who are reporting that they couldn't cancel their accounts. Blizzard wasn't doing it, but then someone was saying it takes a while with Blizzard. They're very thorough. So, and I believe that they always have been very thorough about stuff. They kind of led the way with online gaming for a while there. So, like, they're very good at what they do when it comes to that stuff. So the idea of so many people coming in and deciding to cancel at once, they're probably like but people were threatening to like say like obscenities in chats and stuff over and over and over until they banned them and got rid of them. So it's really, really fucking crazy. It's really crazy to watch. And obviously there's a lot to say here, but I mean, I don't know if Blizzard can fucking fix this.
Not quickly.
Just because they're not gonna do anything to ruin what they got going on with China.
Yeah.
They're not gonna do that. So that's not going to happen. So yeah, I don't know how they're going to fix this. It's either going to people are going to just like forget about it once they announce Diablo 4 or wherever the fuck. But for me, it's going to be really hard because I'm pretty politically activated, even though I don't really like to talk about it on the channel.
Yeah. Well, to echo, but not to quote verbatim, that guy who did work on Blizzard that you brought up earlier, Mark, I can't remember his name now.
I think it's Kern or Karn.
Anyways, he had basically said on Twitter today, and I like his approach to this statement. He said, just remember that when they show off Diablo 4 and when they show off all the new stuff for their games that exist and stuff, that it's okay for you to be excited for the games and stuff like that. Just remember where the money is coming from to make these games, and what's happening to those people right now. So
yeah, he's also I watched him and Jeremy Hambly talk about this for like 2 hours, which was really an interesting conversation to listen to. But one point they both tried to make is even though they're pulling out of this and they're being very vocal about all this shit, they don't want to make people feel like they're bad if they want to keep playing those games.
For sure.
And I wouldn't want to do that either, for sure. I just more so want to be clear about my opinion because this is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I have no interest in financially assisting Activision Blizzard right now. So
Yeah. I mean, I agree. But yeah, they don't want to alienate people, but they do say that, if you want to be active, at least like share the information out there, let people know, and yeah, there's ways to help without quitting a game you've been playing for years of love, or whatever.
for sure.
But yeah, and I think that's really important because with how many people who are at each other's throats constantly when it comes to opinions in general, but in gaming, it can be a pretty shitty community sometimes when people are like, "Oh, fuck you, blah blah blah. You got this, I got this. I don't like what you got, blah blah blah," or what you like to play or whatever. One thing that I really try to push with this channel and this community is you should be able to talk about anything. A little bit of ribbing here and there is fine. We do that a lot here, but when it comes down to it, I don't like the idea of discluding people from the greater community of gaming and stuff. And so when it comes to the Blizzard thing, some people don't know as much as others. Some people might not care as much as others. Some people might care, but don't want to give up all that time they invest in a game, or they really love a game. I get it all. So I just want to be clear on where I'm at, where you're at. And
and it's completely understandable for it to be difficult to make a decision like that when you've invested the years involved in what you probably have spent in just even speaking just for Warcraft alone. So that isn't going to be easy for a lot of people to just be like, oh, I'm done with that. So I mean,
that's understandable.
Yeah.
That'd be hard to make that decision.
So
I saw people all over Twitter, posting pictures of their cancellations and stuff like that, and a lot of people are really adamant about doing it. It's kind of crazy to watch.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
But Blizzard has been kind of going down that path anyway. I think this is pretty unrelated to that, but it is kind of another thing to drop on top of it. So
yeah.
Although I do think we'll be seeing a Diablo 4 trailer very soon.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, I'm kind of curious. I'm going to be down in Anaheim for vacation here shortly. And I'm sure the convention center is going to be decorated for BlizzCon. So I'm kind of curious to go walk down the street and see what it looks like.
Yeah, people are speculating there aren't going to be like Q&As or anything there, which I can understand because people are going to say all sorts of crazy shit. And there's definitely going to be protests there. Like I was saying, Jeremy Hambly already gave like $3,000 to a group for their protest and all sorts of stuff. So it's definitely getting funded. So it's going to be really crazy to see. It's also going to be really crazy to see how other companies handle this very clear-cut reaction to this, because you've already seen, I forgot the name of the company, but one of the bigger esports or the biggest esports companies out there, there's an internal memo telling their employees don't talk about this at all.
Yeah, I wonder why.
Yeah, so it's really weird. It's really sketchy, but
I'm sure we're on a list now too. We're never gonna get Chinese money.
That's fine. I don't do this for money anyway. As anybody who watches the channel regularly knows. Yeah. Anything else you want to say on it? So you don't support it? You don't support them?
I don't at all.
I don't either.
Yeah. At this point in time, I have no intention of knowingly spending money on anything Activision Blizzard releases for the time being. So
yeah, for sure. Let us know in the comments what you think about this whole situation. Is there something that's developed since we've talked about this that'd be worth talking about? I really don't want to talk about it, but I feel like we have to talk about it. It's the biggest news story right now, and yeah, even though I don't want to go into the details of it, because that will start getting into the political stuff, it is worth us expressing where we stand on it. Let us know in the comments where you guys stand, and yeah, no judgment, unless you're an asshole, but. No
need for that.
That typically doesn't happen around here. So, yeah, let us know in the comments everything you think about when it comes to Blizzard, Hong Kong, freedom, China, and yeah, all that shit. And put GOTM and a game in that comment. Yeah, so we got two bits of news we're going to talk about. That one a little longer than I thought, but it's definitely worth talking about. So, yeah, first bit of news, real quick. So ray tracing, the word that keeps popping up when it comes to new consoles and new technology, new games coming out, is apparently going to be put into cherry-picked games by NVIDIA. NVIDIA has begun hiring for a producer to lead the project where they will start taking older games and implementing ray tracing into those games. If you don't know what ray tracing is, to simply put, it is a lighting and sound technology, to put it basically. Took me seeing it visually to finally understand what it is, but essentially you have a point from where you're seeing to a point where you're looking, and there's a ray. Not, you don't see it, but it's a technology that's using this ray that's invisible, and it is calculating how light and shadows, it seems when I look at it, and sound is traveling through the room, and you get way more realistic lighting that is, in my opinion, really fucking crazy stuff. Yeah, so they're talking about, let's see, the studio behind the listing is Lightspeed, who specializes in PC ports. They brought Half-Life 2, Doom 3, Portal to the NVIDIA Shield. Everybody remembers that and loved that, huh? And most recently, it made Quake 2 RTX, which is a ray-traced remake of the 1997 first-person shooter, which I need to look into that. That's fucking crazy. Yeah, so they're looking into putting ray tracing into older games to kind of give them a boost in the modern day and to offer a new way to look at older games. What do you think about this news? Is this exciting? Is it not exciting? Do you think it's whatever? And what games would you like to see possibly have some ray tracing added to it? It's kind of crazy that they can just kind of take a new technology and throw it into an older game.
I think it's interesting that Nvidia is the one doing it, and so obviously they're going to talk to the devs of.
Well, I mean, they make the RTX cards, which are ray tracing cards. So
Yeah, it would kind of expect them to be like, oh, we'll help. The devs are going to do it, and we'll be here for support, because that's usually the way it works. Like their drivers and stuff like that.
that is, yeah.
There's
that
a
is
representative
yeah.
that from Nvidia that assists them in any issues they have with getting their stuff to be compatible or whatever. It's interesting that they are kind of taking the lead on that, but of course they want to show it off, so I get it too.
When they're selling those cards too, they want to be like, hey, you got an RTX card. I think I have a 2080. Is that what I have?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which does ray tracing at maximum shit. It's fucking amazing. If they told me, hey, some older game you love now has ray tracing, that'd be a big sell for me.
I think I don't know. I think it's neat because you guys aren't going to be able to necessarily see it, but if you get a chance, look it up. They added ray tracing to Minecraft, and
Yeah, it's crazy looking.
and it's weird because it's like
It's still blocky, but
yeah, it's still Minecraft in every way except for it's got these weird really well done graphics mixed in there. It's confusing to explain. You just have to look at
the
it.
biggest thing you'll notice specifically with the ray tracing is it affects, specifically in the game Control, when you turn it on and off, it really changes so much stuff to the point where the amount of reflections, this, when they say it's lighting, it's really simply putting it, because there's reflections on every surface now that are being actively rendered. Like before, you'd have to have a mirror and it would independently render pretty much a separate screen. That's why the graphics on mirrors typically is lower in games.
Yeah.
But in this, it's actively, it's reflecting the light that's actually casting across the room, that's making the shape of your body. So you're actually seeing active reflections as you play off of any surface that can have those. And the lighting is from this point to this point softened, and it's not just like an individual light source they created to make that illusion. It's literally how the light is traveling across the room. And the big thing I noticed is shadows. When you're closer to the light source, it grows and gets huge, and when you go away, it gets smaller. Like in real life, whereas in a lot of games, they're just hard shadows, and then they soften the outside to make them look better in the future. Now there's actually an active, reactive shadow that's happening. So, in that Minecraft thing, coming back to that, if you look at the lighting, it's really weird because it kind of slowly fades down the walls and stuff.
And it gives you really interesting skyscapes because of it, and then you get water reflections and stuff. So I don't know where I was going now.
Sorry.
No, that's fine. I mean, yeah, I'm always happy to see an advancement in graphics because obviously we want to see it get better and better and better. Especially when AAA companies get their hands on it, we get to see the pinnacle of what games can look like. So, so I appreciate it in that regard. I do know, like right now, the adoption of it on a personal computer is very expensive. So,
Oh yeah.
that won't last forever. But right now,
Well, like I said prior, the consoles are going to have ray
gonna
tracing
have
on
it,
them, so
yes.
that's really going to bring it into everyone's house.
it is.
Because right now, cost of entry is fucking expensive.
Yes,
It's like
'cause
six
I
hundred.
keep eyeballing graphics cards, and I'm not
Yeah.
willing to pull the trigger on it yet. So,
Yeah, I did. It was a chunk of money.
Yeah.
So
but no, it's neat. It does, like I said, with the Minecraft thing, and then even like when they're bringing up Quake 2, there it kind of trips me out to think about old looking games with that modern technology
because
mixed with it.
the graphics haven't gone up, but the lighting technology is. So you're still looking at those like polygons you're used to, and all the squared shapes and weird circles and shit. But then the lighting is going to be like modern.
Yeah,
It's very weird.
yeah, it's hard to explain. Definitely, take some time to check it out. As far as like old games I'd like to see it in, I mean, obviously I play a crap ton of Final Fantasy 14, so I would like to see it in there.
It'd be a very demanding game.
Yeah, MMOs in general I think would be pretty rough. But even I guess on a smaller scale though, I have been playing a lot of Destiny 2 lately, and I know people are freaking talking it up like crazy on Reddit right now. Destiny 2 I think would be a good candidate, or most shooters in general. But
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, just
Games like that are always the forefront, just like racing games, for those kind of technologies.
well, and there's just really cool environments that you go through in Destiny because of it's a sci-fi game. So
Yeah.
you get like those caves with the weird lighting and stuff like that, and it would just make it more eerie, I think, and stuff like that. So
Even a game like kind of an old reference now because it's been out for a while, but like Far Cry 5.
Yeah.
The ambience of that world is really fucking cool. To get that realistic lighting would be very fucking dope.
yeah, and it's not an older game, but then go back and do all the Metro games
Oh,
That'd
fuck.
probably
I
be
would
good.
love that, yeah.
because they're already good looking games.
Oh, yeah.
And then to throw, like I said, an oddball in there. All I can think of is 2D games right now. That's not going to work.
Stardew
so
Valley.
that would be, yeah. I
Just
don't,
project
I
it
don't
from
think
the
that would
top
work.
onto the 2D. Be fucking
I
weird
think
looking.
it kind of has to be a 3D game.
It would have to be, yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way. That's what I'm saying.
Souls games. There we go.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. More
Yeah.
atmosphere with lighting. So
Yeah, especially if you were to play like Bloodborne with ray tracing, because they got really weird with the physics in that game, and like a lot of the monsters, their bodies just have pieces moving everywhere.
yeah, imagine
So
the
if you
light
had-
like cutting through.
If
the
you
fur
had
and stuff.
realistic lighting across that room, even light you didn't notice before would still have to physically cascade through the room, so you would see it would be a lot more atmospheric for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts on it, though.
First thing I thought of was Fear. Fear would be fucking awesome with ray tracing. The game
well,
looks
I was saying do Quake 2, so
yeah. Do Quake 3. I like Quake 3 better. Blasphemy to some. Others will understand me.
that's a risky one.
Yeah, it's mixed though. Because Quake 3's I was watching a thing recently talking about the success of Quake 3 versus Quake 2 on a popular scale, like when it came out. 2 has a legacy. 3 though, more people are playing at once. So it makes sense. Anyway, Fear would be an awesome one. I have a real deep love for Fear. Me and Almix, I've talked about this a couple times now, and when this came up, I thought about the conversations we've had about it. He was watching me play Control, and I was kind of talking to him about what I learned about ray tracing, stuff like that, and we were having a conversation about that. And they were both talking about how Red Dead Redemption 2 with ray tracing would be fucking insane. The game already, I think, is one of the best looking games in existence. To add ray tracing to that, and it's coming out to PC like next month.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Which is crazy. If they can put ray tracing in that game, holy fuck, it'd be insane. In fact, any Rockstar game, Grand Theft Auto 5 would look great with ray tracing. Horror games, I think most horror games would. It'd be very cool to see a horror game with ray tracing
Ooh,
in
Dead
it.
by Daylight.
Dead by Daylight would be cool. But even like Evil Within 2. Evil Within 2 is actually a really pretty looking game. So with more atmospheric lighting, it'd be very fucking cool. I'd love to see a horror game with that kind of lighting and see how much it can make the horror experience better, or maybe make it worse. I don't know. I just played fucking Man of Medan, and I fucking hated that game. So they can add ray tracing to that. I won't even play it. Racing games though. Racing games would be huge. I'd love to see it in the next Forza game, the next Gran Turismo game, but even older ones that are already out. It'd be very cool to see that implemented, because I've been saying ever since I learned more about ray tracing that, first person shooters and racing games are always like some of the best looking games ever when they come out. They got like the newest and best technologies when it comes to graphics and stuff, because you're up close and personal in those games. It's all about what you're looking at up close, and they really got to show off those graphics. And every time a new racing game comes out that's like the biggest and best of that time, the cars are trying to look more and more realistic. The crowds are trying to look more and more like real people. The tracks are trying to look more realistic in their color tones and stuff like that. To be able to add lighting of like driving through trees or whatever and watching that reflect off the car and everything would be fucking amazing.
I would actually
love that experience.
As much as I would love to obviously see it in a Gran Turismo game, I think it would. I think it'd benefit Forza more, which I never thought I'd say anything like that, just because like Forza is really experimental with weather effects, and they would really have a lot of fun with that, I think. And also Forza's sound effects are really meaty.
Yeah.
And I think would work really well in that. That's one thing that Gran Turismo I think kind of lacks in, is their sounds are kind of, I don't know.
Yeah, the most recent one isn't too bad. But as for like graphically and stuff like that and lighting, I couldn't pick either or. I thought
No,
Sport
for sure.
was fantastic looking.
I was more so referring to the fact that Forza is usually experimenting with weather stuff
Yeah.
a lot, and then sound effects.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff they're doing though, not to go into Tastecast territory, but we didn't do Tastecast. Did you hear about Flight Simulator? Mm-mm. It's gonna have a fucking, apparently it's gonna be a full render of the world, and they said you're gonna be able to fly over like any neighborhood you've lived in or live in.
I've seen a lot of screenshots and stuff. So
And I forgot, petabyte. I think the game size is like 2 petabytes, which is like
that's
some
a
odd,
big game.
like 200 or some odd thousand fucking
2000.
some crazy shit amount of fucking. It's the size is gigantic,
Yeah.
but you're gonna be, when you install it, you're gonna be streaming it off of their servers, because you're not gonna be able to install it.
Yeah, well, obviously no one has hard drives that big yet.
And yeah, well, yeah, of course. And they're saying like it's gonna have like the most realistic and modern weather systems ever created in a game. And I was reading that show, I was like, even on the text, I was like, holy shit. So I gotta play that. Hopefully that was ray tracing.
That's another one I keep seeing Reddit talk about a lot. So
Yeah, it's weird because like I always was like, oh yeah, I like those games.
even when I was younger, people talked flight sim up like crazy. So it's just a loved thing.
But those kind of games kind of disappeared for a while because people wanted like more focused games and less like, oh, make your own fun. But it seems like, especially with games like Farming Simulator and shit getting bigger and bigger, it seems like people want like any avenue of gaming they can get now, which is nice to see again.
Yes.
And so Flight Simulator coming out now makes a lot of sense. I thought that was one of those games I was like, that series is dead. So glad to see that. But anyway,
It's coming back and fucking hard.
yeah, it's crazy. It's a really, really ambitious thing. They're using like something through Bing, of course, because that's Microsoft. Their technology and AI learning when it comes to like this engine being able to replicate the whole Earth, which is not, I don't think it's been done. Although everybody's like, I'll raise you Elite Dangerous, because I guess Elite Dangerous has like, I don't buy it in like detail, but I guess they have like a 1-to-1 scale of like the Milky Way. But you're not going on to individual planets, seeing every fucking detail of them. Right. So it's more like, I'm sure it's streaming. I don't know. I don't want to talk about this too much. This is Tastecast shit. But yeah, ray tracing. It's coming into older games, and it's really fucking cool. And there's a lot of games. Every game, honestly, I'd like to see this implemented in, but it will be gimmicky in some games because you're going to be looking at an old game and going, whoa, look at those crazy lighting effects in that old game that doesn't really fit in. But some games I think will definitely benefit from, especially games that have aged really well, and you see people acting. I mean, I guarantee people are going to want Skyrim to have ray tracing in it. I know, but that's one of those games that gets modded and modded and modded and modded and modded.
It makes sense.
Yeah. And I'm
So,
sure there already is like something out for it already, some kind of mod, but like it'd
I'm
be cool to
sure.
see like an official thing. So just like Minecraft. So yeah, all in all, really exciting. I'm stoked for it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say on it? Let us know in the comments what do you guys think about ray tracing coming to older games, ray tracing in general, since we kind of talked about the broader scale of it. And what older games would you like to see this lighting and sound technology be put into? Would you like to see some weird, goofy ass game get some crazy lighting, or is there like a game you love from the past that you'd like to see have enhanced lighting? Let me know in the comments below. Last bit of news.
So if you're opted into the Steam beta client, you are going to be getting an update on October 21st that is going to add a new beta feature for remote play together, as they're calling it. The functionality of this mode is to take any game that has local multiplayer and give it online capabilities. The way they've kind of described this is, and anyone with a PlayStation 4 and who has used remote play will be somewhat familiar with this. If I have, let's say, what was that cooking game we played?
Overcooked. That's a really
Overcooked,
good
right?
example.
So let's say I have Overcooked, and there's a 4-player local co-op game, and I want Seth, Chris, and Josh to play with me, and they don't want to buy it. That's totally fine. I can go into the game, bring up the overlay, and invite them by passing them a virtual controller, and then they will play on my copy of the game. Now, the disclaimer here is you need at least a 10 megabyte per second, I believe, connection for this, and I do believe that also includes upload, because not only are you going to be the one running the game, you also have people's commands having to come to your system at the same time.
So essentially, the person who's playing the game is hosting the game, and the other people are remotely playing your instance of the game through streaming technology from their
Yes,
computer.
multiple connections. So it does take a bit of internet to do, but
Yeah.
it's going to be a free update. But it is going to go in beta. So if you want to check that out, is October 21st. What do you think about them implementing this feature and not only doing 2-player like Sony does, but going full blown 4-player, and then the future of this?
I think it's really cool. I'm surprised to see it coming out just now, but at the same time, you can't wait much longer because where everybody's trying to push towards playing games without actually having it, just streaming them, it only makes sense to use, I would say, probably an easier or the same technology to do an easier task, which is allow people to play an instance of your game, specifically for games that only have local multiplayer, which is something that I run into rarely. But when I do, I'm like, fuck, that's, for whatever reason they do it, whether they didn't want to implement it or the dev team is really small and they don't have the resources to make networking or stuff like that. There's so many reasons that they won't have that. They'll have, or they're just like philosophically, they're like, we want this to be a couch co-op game only. We don't like the idea of you playing with random people, which some people have said shit like that. It's very cool for somebody else to step in and go, those games could probably get a lot more longevity if people had other ways to play them with people. One example that they show on this website is Towerfall Ascension, which I remember being a 4-player local only game. I believe we played it on PlayStation Plus for Plus Club or something. But in that game, it's all small pixelated characters, and you essentially jump around, I believe, a room, and you have bow and arrows, and you're trying to shoot each other. It's kind of like Smash Bros. Meets like one shot, one kill shit, but there's like obstacles and spikes and stuff like that. It's just an arena fighter, but it only has local multiplayer. Only have local multiplayer. If this is the wrong game I'm describing, and you know what I'm talking about, correct me, please. But I think I'm correct on this. And so in that game, I played it. I bought it. I was like, "Oh, this is really cool. How do I play with other people?" And then like I looked at the multiplayer, and it's like local only. I'm like, "Oh, so I'll just have to invite people over. When the fuck's that gonna happen?
Yeah.
Where I'm gonna get fucking 3 other people to play this at the same time?" So it was a cool idea of a game, but I was like, I can't fucking play this with anybody. The cool thing about this is obviously I can play with people online, but the other thing I really like about it is they don't have to own the game. You're hosting your game as a server essentially, and people just can play with you regardless if they have it. So it gives you agency and purchasing a game that you might have not otherwise got to play as much as you would have liked to. You don't even have to tell your friends to go buy it. It just allows you to play that game the way you wanted to in an easier way. Gives you options, and I think it's a really cool feature that I'm glad to see. I mean, like, it seems kind of small as a feature, but I think it's pretty big, and it is frustrating when you play Overcooked. That was one of our biggest gripes with Overcooked when we reviewed it for Plus Club, is that it does not have online multiplayer. Now, people say Overcooked 2 has that, but Overcooked 1 didn't, and that was a big factor, because I'm like, this game is a multiplayer game. It needs to have features to allow all the options to be able to play multiplayer. And, with no online multiplayer, it really is a detriment to the game. So something like this would have been nice to have, because then I wouldn't have to judge the game as much, just based off of them not having the online play that they should have had in that game. Obviously, lessons were learned. So yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Seems pretty simple. I mean, not like I could go do this myself, but like, it seems like a duh, that makes sense kind of situation. And it's also cool to see Steam implementing new tech into what they do, because sometimes I just kind of forget that they do stuff other than sell games.
I would say Steam as a platform has a lot of features.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And I don't use much of them, but yeah. And like I said though, I'm glad they still roll out stuff to make Steam stand out as the PC game store
Platform, yeah, for sure. I mean, everyone's agree with everything you said there. I do think it's interesting, because I have played around with share play on the PS4 a little bit, and it's kind of hit or miss. Like, and I don't think
I used it when it first came out, and it's kind of laggy. I'm sure it's better now.
And I think it'll probably be better if they decide to keep it with the PlayStation 5. Obviously, it was something they were trying out. I just don't think the network capabilities of the PS4 like it very much. Mm-hmm. So that being said, Steam's obviously going to be dependent on your system. So if you have the system for it and the internet connection, I imagine it's going to work just fine. And just to kind of reemphasize, as the host, you have multiple things to take into consideration. You're running the game, you're streaming the game, and you're receiving commands from multiple different people. So you do need a good internet connection. And not everyone has that. So, I mean, that's really going to be kind of like the one thing to think about when you're doing this. But other than that, I mean, it's great. And like you said, Steam is really good about constantly making the platform not just a store, right?
Evolving the platform.
Yeah, it is.
It is like a console, essentially.
It turns your PC into a console.
Yeah,
that's exactly what it is. It's you can have the big screen mode. You can have this. It has the VR stuff. I mean, like, and a bunch of other features. Like, it's really hard. They make it really hard for people to compete against them, unless you are a big company like Epic, who goes, well, the incentive here is we're going to make the devs essentially go, hey, you can make more money here. Make it exclusive here.
40% of our company gives us a lot of money, and we pay you guys that to come to us.
So, yeah, I'm glad to see them still, like you said, rolling out stuff for Steam itself, and I hope they continue to evolve Steam as a platform, because besides just being a place to buy games, which is mostly all I'm doing on it,
yeah.
Sometimes you're like, man, I wish I could do this. Well, Steam's kind of making sure you can do that. So.
Yeah, they've been for years trying to make the Steam experience as easy and simple and what you want to be as possible, and that's commendable. Sometimes they'll roll some stuff out. I'm like, I'm not going to use that, but it's not for me.
And it gets a little clunky looking when they start adding too much stuff, and they got to redesign.
Yeah, they've rolled out some features. I'm like, this ain't working as well as you guys think it might have, and then like you'll see it kind of like get pulled back a bit, or they'll like they'll finally figure out what they're trying to do with it. So that's something I had to learn with Steam, because sometimes I'm like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Especially with like the community features when they first got introduced, when they were trying to make it more like a social media thing, and like a social platform, and people were using it, but not a whole lot of people I knew were using it. But now it seems a lot more streamlined, and everything kind of is more integrated all together. It's less like you got to go over to the pages and talk. It's more like everything is just like, oh, your friend commented on this. Oh, your friend reviewed that. You can read their review and other people's reviews and stuff. Sure. And it's all more streamlined now. So Steam is always on top of it at some point, and they definitely have to be now with some real competition.
Real competition for sure.
Well, real competition that pays to be competition, but they are competition 100%.
It's not like EA or Uplay or Origin or Uplay.
Exactly. Those guys showed up and they're like, we're here, and everybody's like, yeah,
we're doing it too. And then that was it.
And Epic's just like Kirby going and all these games just be like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay, I mean, that's, you make one fucking successful game and all of a sudden you're like, I'm Steam too. Okay. Your store's not even that great. Doesn't matter. You can buy our games. You can't get them anywhere else. Okay, well, I guess I'll buy them there. But yeah, so this is a cool feature.
Yes.
I think it is. It's just a nice addition to the whole thing. So
yeah, and
I think I would use it. In fact, I would like to see this on everything.
I agreed. And I do see myself potentially using it. I just don't have like an immediate use for it.
Yeah, but there has been many times where I start up a game and I'm like, fuck, dude, local play only?
Yeah.
I'm supposed to get all my friends in a cramped ass room and just everybody's just reaching over each other, fucking like, just trying to play and shit. Like, no, I want to be able to play. Well, I'm in my 30s, dog. My friends are in their 30s. We're all living in different houses and shit. We're not having the fucking overnight LAN parties playing Halo. Although, if you guys want to do that, I'm fucking down.
I'll say, like, you would say no to that.
I'll relive fucking those glory years. Although, Diet Mountain Dew, maybe. I ain't drinking that shit. Trying to drink sugar anymore. Yeah, anything else you want to add to that?
No.
Fucking hair is everywhere and it's driving me nuts. Let me know in the comments. What do you guys think about this new feature coming to Steam that you can opt into and try it out? Is there a game on the top of your head that you can think of that has local only that you'd like to play with other people? Is this a feature you don't think you'd be using a whole lot? Is this something you'd like to see other people take and put it onto their consoles? I would really like to see that. And what do you think about this technology? Everything that's on your mind, let us know in the comments below. But that's going to do it for this episode of Tasty Tuesdays and Tasty Gaming. I just want to say real quick, earlier this week, I did a video describing why we have been kind of weird in the last week when it comes to the shows, between sickness and some personal stuff in the family that's happened. That was all stated or whatever, but you guys were all very understanding, and the well wishes are very much appreciated. I want you guys to know that. I want to say that to you guys. Thank you for being an awesome community and just understanding at all times. I really appreciate it. Love you guys, and just wanted to put that out there. That's going to do it for this episode of Tasty Tuesday. That one, Tasty Gaming. As always, thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe and enjoy this episode. Make sure to check out our other episodes. Check us out on Tumblr, Twitter, and Facebook at Tasty Gaming. Check out my streams on all three things: Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube. Links down below. Chevy also streams. His link is down below as well.
Sometimes I've been slacking.
I was too, but then I played Man of Medan and I hated my life. But it was streamed. People were there. I was witnessed, and you can watch it as well.
Witness me.
Pretty much, dude. It was rough. And I was such a proponent for that game. I was like, this game's going to be good. And I was like, oh no. This is Life is Strange 2. Not the actual sequel. I haven't played that, but
As well.
We have a Discord link down below. You can talk to us anytime, all time, and we're on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast platforms if you prefer to listen to us. My name's Seth.
I'm Chevy.
Until the next episode, which will be Tasty Cast this weekend. In between here and there, I'll probably do some streams. I want to do some more scary games. Let me know in the comments what you think I should play. Don't say Man and Medan. That was scary enough because of how bad it was written. But until the next episode, have a good week, guys, and take it easy.